Thank you guys for tuning into the BNC. Today, I'm going to teach you about bicycle frame geometry. After this video, you'll be able to understand the different sizes of bicycle frames and their riding characteristics. We will not be covering bearing types, manufacture processes, or materials used in frames. If you want to go back and watch this video again, you can find it in our bicycle information playlist. With that being said, let's get into it. We are going to list and name the tubes of a frame that matter to geometry. They are head tube, top tube, seat tube, and chainstay. These are the most important sections of a frame for sizing and geometry. Now that you know the typical terms, we can explain how to use them and determine the sizes and ride characteristics of frames. There are three main measurement areas. Two of the most important are top tube length and seat tube length. These measurements determine if the bike fits your height. Typically, taller riders choose longer measurements in these areas, since taller riders need more knee room and frame height to sit down easier. The third main frame measurement is chainstay length. This is one of the least noted measurements, but some riders have to get a longer size to keep their heels from rubbing on back pegs. Usually, if you buy a frame with a longer top tube, the length of the chainstays increase with it due to proportional sizing. This bike in the picture has a top tube length of 21 inches, a seat tube length of 8.5 inches, and a chainstay length of 14 inches. These are some typical measurement ranges of a 20-inch bike frame. Now, let's talk about angles. There are two spots on a bike that are listed in degree of angle, the head tube and seat tube. To visually understand the difference in these angles, you need to know that a horizontal line represents 0 degrees and a vertical line represents 90 degrees. So a higher degree of angle means it is more straight up and down. First, we will talk about seat tube angle. The seat tube is directly in the middle of the frame, so the angle of it is usually dependent on the size of the other tubes in the frame. A steeper seat tube makes the seat in the seat post stand more straight up and down. A seat tube with a lower degree of angle will tilt the seat and seat post back. Even though the degree of angle is lower, the seat tube will visually look more of an angle. This is because the angle of the tube is measured in relation to horizontal at 0 degrees, so straight up and down is still considered 90 degrees. This frame has a seat tube angle of 71 degrees. Here is the typical range of seat tube angles. Next up, we have head tube angle. Head tube angle is mostly for experienced riders that precisely know the differences in riding styles and buy according to them. Just like the seat tube, the angle idea is the same. The higher the angle, the steeper the frame. So the bigger the number, the more straight up and down the front wheel will be. This is good and bad for some people. Having a steep frame in BMX is typically for people who do a lot of nose tricks on their front tire. This is because the steeper angle lets them hold balance at an earlier point. To put that in perspective, if you have a steep frame, like a 76 degree head tube, instead of a 74 degree head tube, you won't have to lean as far over the front end to hold balance. Most dirt and trail riders prefer a shallow front end, like a 74 degree, for nice control and smooth steering. But street riders sometimes prefer steeper head tubes, like a 75.5, to have the advantage of nose tricks and quick steering. But this comes with some disadvantages, like easily throwing yourself forward over the handlebars because the tipping point comes sooner, or twitchy steering that can feel weighted when turning. So a low angle will provide smooth steering and control, while a steep angle gives you a front end balance advantage in BMX, but faster and more twitchy steering. Here's the usual range of angles you will see when buying a bike or frame. And that's pretty much all you guys need to know about frame geometry, but having to precisely use this information depends on your level of riding. People who push the limits on their bike take note of frame geometry when buying, because it can change the riding characteristics of their bicycle and personal fitment. At any time you forget this info, you can click on the video and skip to the end to use this guide you see here. Just remember, Everyone has different body sizes and riding styles, so use this information to make your own decision of what's right for you. If you didn't get your fill of the BNC or want to see more videos like it, make sure you subscribe. If you liked this video or found the information useful, hit that like button or share it so somebody else can see it. If you want to go down and have anything to tell us, go down into that comment section. If you have anything you want to ask us. We'll be glad to answer it for you. Other than that, I'm Lad, coming to you from the BMX News Channel. Stay riding.